Magnolia State. And if you happen to be in the market for some stamps, we always need those from a time or two, you can support a Mississippi artist with your USPS stamp purchase. Joining us on Good Things today is Mr. Alex Bostic. He's an MSU professor, associate professor of art and illustrator. Hey, Alex.
Hello, how are you, Rebecca?
I am doing well, and congratulations, by the way. I'm sure it's been a whirlwind for you since your stamps were released.
Yeah, it is. It has been. It still is.
So your original art, Edmonia Lewis, did I say that correct?
There's Edmonia.
Edmonia Lewis. I was close. I'm going to give myself a pat for that. Edmonia Lewis.
Yeah.
It's featured on several new stamps out, but I read where you have stamps released in other countries, but this is actually your first U.S. stamp. So what other countries, Alex, do you have stamps in?
The New Republic of Congo, the United Arab Emirates, and I'm trying to remember Rwanda.
So how do you get in the stamp designing business? I would think that, hey, your art made it for here in U.S., but how do other countries connect with artists for stamps?
Well, that was pretty easy. I had a student that I taught, and she wound up working for this international stamp company in New York, and she needed my help. And then I helped solve the problem, and then they kept calling me. So that's how I got to get involved with other countries. But doing something for your own country is a real great honor.
Oh, absolutely. And it's phenomenal artwork. So what inspired you to do this painting in the first place, Miss Edmonia Lewis?
Yeah, they call you up. And Antonio, the art director, called me a year and a half ago to 2 years to do a stamp, and it didn't go through. And so this year he called, and it went through. And then, and that's the business. Even when I did work for foreign countries, I did a stamp for Princess Diana, and the royal family rejected it. And then they had the 75th anniversary stamp for Queen Elizabeth. I did it, didn't think much of it, and they printed it, So
that's pretty cool.
Huh?
I said, that is pretty cool.
Yeah. So as an illustrator, you get involved in a whole lot of projects, and, you don't think about them while you're doing it. Everything happens after it's done,
So, Alex, I read where an actual photograph inspired you to do the painting. I guess it's a painting that now is the stamp.
Yeah.
So how did you even get inspired by this lady that's now your U.S. stamp?
What they do is they give you several photographs, but they got to get permission from the photographer. I can't do it. So they gave me several different images, and I picked the one that really resonate with me in order to do the portrait.
What about her story said, you know what, she's the lady that I would like to see on a stamp?
Yeah, I mean, they make that choice, but when they gave me her name and information about it, they give you the whole packet. I said, boy, we're kindred spirit because, as an African-American, to do a stamp of an African-American from the 1800s, and she had her struggles, but, some of those struggles still exist today. Not as bad, but I mean, she left the country. I stayed here, and but she made herself successful, by hard work, determination, and focus.
Which I think still is a good recipe for success today,
yeah.
Alex. Now, you aren't a Mississippian by birth, but by choice. Is it true you grew up in New York?
I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I got here about 11 and a half years ago, and I decided to stay.
Did you come for a job there at MSU, or did that come after your move?
Not really. It's a long story, but they found out that I was coming, and they offered me a job, and I took it.
And you work in the Architecture, Art, and Design department there for Mississippi State. So what do you do every day? Do you help teach kids how to make stamps, or are you using your skills for other things?
I basically teach them basic fundamental art of drawing and painting and digital painting, and just give them the tools they'll need in order to grow.
When did you first start painting?
My first experience was I was 7. My brother and I in Brooklyn was on a stoop, and that's what they call them, steps in New York. And we were playing with matches. And some woman looked out the window, saw us, and started yelling at us. We yelled back at her, and she stuck her head back in the window. Next thing you know, the fire truck came. And we didn't know what they were doing, and they stopped right in front of us and told us to get on the truck, and they took us to the fire station, and, you know, we saw where they eat, where they slept. We went up and down the pole, and then they showed us the Book of Fire. We looked at the Book of Fire, which is horrible, with fires in the neighborhood and how bad fire can do. And they gave us paper and pencil and crayons and said, draw your experience for today, what you saw today, and then they put us back on the fire truck and dropped us off where they found us.
That's pretty cool, Alex, that's what inspired you, or at least your interest in art. It goes to show you just never know what's going to spark, pun intended.
You just never know. Yeah.
And you're still learning. I read where you've taken sculpture classes too.
Yeah.
Still trying to expand your art. What led you to that?
I'm still studying sculpture. I mean, I need to take another class or 2 or 3, but I'm highly interested in the 3-dimensional aspect of art. You know, because I've been mostly doing 2-dimensional.
Well, I think you're going to be just fine at it, or at least continuing to learn and grow, which I think is something good in any field. So, okay, if we want to get your stamps, and which by now, Alex, I'm going to look at them completely differently. And when I open mail, I'm going to be very careful not to just rip stamps, knowing all the work that goes into it. Yeah.
It's a piece of artwork. There's collectors from all over the world that collect stamps. And I was surprised.
Well, you think about it. I mean, they are little miniature pieces of your work that's going and taking, maybe letters or birthday cards, or we won't think about bills and other sort of things across the world. What have you gotten a snail mail in the mail, Alex, with your stamp on it yet?
No, not yet. I got a lot of stamps from the post office when I went to the ceremony 2 weeks ago, but nobody ever sent me. So all my friends would mail me a letter. They don't want to send that one. They'd rather keep it.
They would rather keep it because it's a limited supply, right? Because we want folks to get out and support you just by supporting the stamp and sort of seeing it. Yeah. So how long will your stamp be available at our local
Believe it or not, it's a forever stamp.
Oh. There you go.
As long as there's demand for it, they'll keep printing it.
Well, then your friends need to send you a letter. They can go back and get them more stamps if they need to do it that way.
More. Yeah.
It makes you want to write. Yeah, make you want to write thank you cards so you can use your stamp sort of over and over again. Is there a country that you would like to make a stamp for that you haven't yet?
Italy. Italy is my favorite place. I love Italy.
That's pretty cool. I just I enjoy hearing the fact that there is a niche out there of your artwork ending up as postage. I'm going to assume most of us listening to Good Things, Alex, just didn't even think about where or who the artist is behind those, commemorative stamps. And now we know that, there's a story behind each painting or picture or whatever it may be. And it's an honor for that to be connected back here to Mississippi. So do you still have the original art? Like, did you get to keep that?
No, we do not keep the original art. It belongs to the Smithsonian.
Well, that's fancy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty cool. Well, congratulations again. If I find your mailing address, I will send you a note with your stamp on it, Mr. Alex.
All right. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. Hey, you're welcome back anytime you find yourself with an Italy stamp.
Yeah, if I do, I'll call you.
All righty. Well, the door is always open here at Good Things for you, Mr. Alex. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
There you go. So if you are in the line at the post office and they ask you, do you need some stamps? You need to say, yes, I do. I need the Forever Stamp, Miss Edmonia Lewis, and support a Mississippi artist, and then stick her on something and send something positive out into the world. But stick with us. We've got more good things for you.